Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wikimetrics Overview. So today we're going to be going over the Wikimetrics, as well as go through a little demo at the end. I'm pulling up the presentation now. My name is Edward, by the way. I work at the Wikimedia Foundation. I am part of the program evaluation and design team within grant making. And let's see. Second. Can you guys see the slides?
No slides. You should select the first option to share your full screen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, is that good now?
I can see the screen. I can see the presentation, yes.
Great, okay. So, yeah, so today we're going to be talking about Wikimetrics. Just to quickly go over the agenda, we're going to do a quick overview of what Wikimetrics is, how it works. We're going to review some of the metrics available, as well as how to gather usernames, go over some additional resources, and we're going to be doing a demo. All right, so what is Wikimetrics? Wikimetrics is an online API for measuring user contributions. What is an API? An API is an interface that allows you to access data from Wikimedia. And user contributions are things like edits or creating new pages or adding bytes to a page. All these are user contributions. And so what does Wikimetrics offer? It offers standardized measures of data or metrics. So what that means is it measures the same thing for every user. And it also offers open and easy access to data, which it just makes it really easy for anyone to go in and get these metrics. And finally, it allows for cohort analysis. So cohort analysis is the ability to take that group of individuals and get some data from them. But what is a cohort exactly? A cohort is a group of users sharing one or more property or attribute, such as time of account creation, or participating in the same program implementation. For example, users who participated in an editathon in July or at Wikimedia, or any group of users that attended an event. And so what is a metric? Again, a metric is a well-defined value or sets of values that can be computed for any registered user. So for example, every time a user clicks that save page button when they make an edit, that is considered a metric, the edit metric. All right, so how does Wikimetrics work? Wikimetrics works through a list of usernames. You take a list, which is the cohort, and you upload them into Wikimetrics. And Wikimetrics, you set the parameters, your metrics, and Wikimetrics will give you a spreadsheet that has a list of usernames and the metrics information. All right, so first we log in. So importantly, there are different ways to log into Wikimetrics. So if for some reason or another you can't find the cohort that you've saved, it could be that it's located in a different account. And we're actually going to be going through a quick overview of Wikimetrics and logging in and the process, but we're going to do the demo later. So we're going to go into these into a little bit more detail later. So the first step in Wikimetrics is to upload or create a cohort. That means you take your list of usernames and you either upload them using a TXT file or CSV, or you copy and paste them into one of the text boxes. You can either select one project for all the usernames, or you can specify different projects, as you see here. Wikimedia is fun is the Ian Wiki, Yay London is the Spanish Wiki, etc. You can specify using that comma approach. And you also name the cohort. Usually try to name it something unique, but we'll go through that later. And then you click Create Cohort. So once you have uploaded your list of usernames, you have this option where it actually checks how many usernames are actually valid. Sometimes your usernames can have special characters, or perhaps they might be misspelled, and they won't work because Wikimedia won't, or Wikimetrics won't be able to find those usernames because they don't exist. So it will tell you which of these usernames are valid and which are invalid. And if you click that link, it'll tell you which ones are invalid. And the other thing you can do on this part is also add tags. Tags are a great way to search your cohort. So let's say you have a list of 50 cohorts and you're trying to find them. You can tag them with different things. You can only create them, but you can also delete them if you need to reorganize your cohorts later on. All right, so once you've checked for validation, you can then click the blue button to create a report. So creating a report will bring you to this page, and you can you want to pick your cohorts. You can pick more than one cohort at a time. The cohorts, sometimes you have, let's say, a list of new users who attended an edit-a-thon, and a list of users that already went to or have already existing users on Wikimedia, versus new people who have just attended for the first time and have never edited before. And you might have two lists of two cohorts, and you can select both of them when you run your reports. So afterwards, you pick your metrics. You want to make sure that you add parameters for every metric. And validate configuration is a way to make sure that your start and end date are chronological, so that your start date is before your end date. For example, let's see. Afterwards, you will configure output. So what does configure output mean? It means it gives you it gives you options for how you want your data to be presented in the CSV file. So so the options are, you can either have a list of individual results, so a list of usernames with how many contributions each person contributed, or you can have an aggregate or a group output where you get all the usernames just get clumped into one, and you just get one number for the whole group. And you also have this great screen at the bottom that says sample result. It's a great way to make sure that you've set up your cohort, your report properly. If you make a mistake, then you need to go back and re-enter all the parameters for all the metrics that you choose. So it's best to check the validate configuration as well as the sample result to make sure that your report is good, so you don't have to spend time doing it again. And finally, you can run your report. You are able to you just get your list of reports show up in the next screen, and you can download them. And there are two different types of files when you download. The option is either CSV file, which is a comma-separated value file. You can usually open this in most any spreadsheet application or program, and a JSON file, which is a JavaScript object notation, and it allows you, and it's more for users who may use their cohorts in programming. So so importantly, to be able to use Wikimetrics, you need to actually gather a list of usernames. So what that means is there's two different ways to do this. You can either do it online or offline. Online, often you can use event pages or course pages. Offline, a lot of times people use sign-up sheets, so paper sign-up sheets for in-person events. Importantly, you really need to collect consent for in-person events. If you use a wiki page for an event, you can simply put in some of the opt-in language that's in the opt-in form at the bottom. It's kind of a way, so it's a way to give people the opportunity to give you permission to use their data, to access their data, because Wikimetrics just allows so much more access to data. And so again, if you're at an in-person event, you want to print out the opt-in form and have that available so people can read it and sign it. If it's on Wiki, then you can just have a paragraph that allows people to opt out. So if they don't want their usernames to be tracked, then you give them the opportunity to contact you so that you can then remove them from the list of individuals who will be for which you will get data for.
Edward?
Yes.
I have a question here
Sure.
from Alex.
Mm-hmm.
She's asking, I understand you can track usernames per project results per a specific category? For a specific category? Edward, are you there?
That question doesn't sound clear. So could you repeat it exactly? Is that exactly how it's written?
Yeah, that's how it's written. It says, can you get results for a specific category? I think
no. So the answer is no. The Wikimetrics does not do category scanning. It is for cohort analysis. It is only for analysis of groups of usernames, which make up a cohort.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Back to you, Edward.
Okay. Sorry, it froze on me for a second, so I didn't even catch the question. But actually, this is I wanted to actually check in to see if there are any other questions at the time. It's kind of a lot of information. In case anyone has commented on the Google page as well. Okay.
There aren't any more questions.
Okay.
Right now.
Okay. Thanks. All right. So now I'm just going to go over some of the metrics that are available on Wikimetrics. You have so we're kind of going to go mainly through the ones that because Globometrics has recently started and it might be something that people are interested in. So we're going to kind of go over those metrics mainly, and we're going to kind of skip over some of the other ones that might not be that are some of them are still kind of being worked out, and so we're just going to go over a few of them. So bytes added, and also a little demo in the corner means that we will be going over these in the demo. Let me put my full presentation here. Can you guys see my slides?
No, we cannot see your slides.
Oh, thank you. So I forgot to share my screen again. Okay, so here's a list of metrics, and so you can see those little demo text in the corner. Those are the ones that we're going to go over in the demo later. So bytes added. Bytes added is the amount of content that a user or a group has added or removed within a given time period. So there's two main types of there's four different kinds of bytes. You have net sum, absolute sum, positive only sum, and negative only sum. The two that are going to be used for for global metrics are the positive only sum and the negative only sum. Edits is every single time a user clicks the Save Page button is an edit. It's important to remember that when someone that metric does not necessarily measure the total number of bytes per edit, right? So someone can write a whole article, whereas someone can just fix a small typo. It doesn't really tell us how the difference is there. Newly registered gives you how many individuals in your group have registered between the start time and the end time that you set. Yeah, that's basically it. Pages created is the number of new pages created by a user or a cohort. Important in Commons, uploading a new media file actually creates a new page. So that's something important to remember if you're trying to find out how many images were uploaded to for your event. And then some of these other metrics, just quickly go over them. There's rolling active editor. We have rolling new active editor. Rolling surviving new active editor. It's a bit of a mouthful. And then threshold and survival. And you guys can kind of read those on your own when you have time. And I think there's some more explanation within Wikimetrics as well about the specific SQL code, for example, of what the metrics mean. Are there any questions about any additional questions? Maria?
Yes, form. So someone is asking if we can translate the opt-in form. Maybe we could build this resource, make it translatable on the evaluation page. That's a good idea, I think.
Yes.
Do we have it translated?
The opt-in language is actually translatable on the wiki page about the opt-in language. There's 3 versions of it, the long, short, and medium version. So whether or not those translations have taken place, I'm not sure, but it is marked for translation and available on our portal for translation there.
Yeah, it hasn't been marked for translation, but it is available to be marked for translation. So yes.
So call to action.
Yes. So if anyone wants to do it, that'd be great. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so if there aren't any more questions, we're gonna, I guess, go ahead and get started with the demo. So a few links for the demo in case if you brought along your own cohort or list of usernames, then you can go ahead and click on the Wikimetrics link. We're going to be using, for the demo, we're going to use this cohort here, the New York University Law School had a meetup, editathon meetup.
We're going to load the cohort.
And we're gonna use that cohort. We're gonna load it. We're gonna create our own cohort and use that one. Are you all set?
I'm sharing my screen and ready to go.
Great.
So.
Maria, do you want to click on Jamie's screen?
I have already. Yes.
Okay. Great. Okay. So I'm going to guide you all through the demo. So first step, we are going to log in. And again, you can either pick your MetaWiki or your Google account. And again, if you lose your cohort, it could be that you logged into the wrong account. So you can check all of them in case you can't find your cohorts. All right, so once you log in, then you go ahead and click on Analyze. And, oh, not here. Never mind. You have to go to Cohorts, and you want to upload a new cohort. So from here, you need to go and find your cohort. So you want to go to wherever you have your list of usernames, and in our case, we're using this wiki page, and down at the bottom it says likely our attendees of record. And we're going to copy and paste that into either a text edit or Notepad is the other one that is used in Microsoft computers. And what we do is we clean up the cohort. So we want to get rid of the user information in front, and oftentimes you can easily use the find replace feature to get rid of that pretty easily.
Now, all of these users are in Wiki. Is that why do we have to worry about different projects?
Right. Yes. Good question. Yeah. So if we have more than one project, like Spanish Wiki, etc., then we want to use a comma and then write enwiki, comma, eswiki, etc., depending on which projects they edited.
However, if they're all the same.
Yeah. So if they're all the same, then you just then you can just copy and paste them into Wikimetrics. Then you have the option there to select the default project, and as you start typing, it usually populates the different project codes. So you want to name the cohort. Usually you want to use something pretty specific because it's the easiest way to find your cohorts. In this case, it's going to be NYU Law School Edit-a-thon. I don't have the page opened up on my screen, but usually it's the organization, the type of program, Edit-a-thon, the date. In this case, it was Saturday, March 8th, so 3/8/2014. And sometimes you can add which projects they edited, or you can just leave it. In the description, you want to add anything that is helpful, that will help you remember what the cohort was. It could be the location. It could be how many. Who presented, any articles that were edited, etc. It is a limited field. You don't have. It's limited to a certain number of characters. I can't remember how many, but it's usually sufficient to add any important information to help you remember.
Some of the key information that would be useful here would be like the gender ratio of the participants.
Right, diversity, yeah.
Yeah. Any other outcomes you may have measured elsewhere is, and of course, validate that we put in usernames.
So we're using a list of usernames, not a list of user IDs, which are user IDs are unique numbers that our usernames get when they first log into different projects. In our case, we're just using usernames, and that's it. And you create the report.
Cohort,
sorry.
And here you see we actually did add more list of articles than would fit, so it cut it off.
Yeah. So it got cut off.
We have a new question.
Sure.
So if someone in your cohort multiple wiki, like for instance in English and in Spanish Wikipedia, do you have to enter their username twice?
Yes.
Yes. So now you can add tags. So for example, you can say the location was NYU, and let's say it was in the, Johnson room or something, in case it was more than one room. You can kind of create whatever tags you want. And then
for some reason, it's not showing the validation.
Yeah, I just noticed that. You maybe try refreshing to see if it.
I don't think that will show it. It only shows it once. It's really weird.
Oh, that's weird. Maybe it's all valid.
It should say that.
Yeah.
So usually in this area right below here, it says the number of users' names that were uploaded that were valid and those that were not valid.
Try clicking on another cohort, maybe the first one up there.
Oh, here, like this.
Yeah. Huh.
So it normally would say that. What's happening is some sort of bug. I don't know.
But usually you can click on
text too. So.
Typically you can click on the link and it will give you a list.
Here it would say the list of people who were not their usernames didn't work, essentially. So importantly, when usernames don't work, the most common reason is because of moving them from one wiki to one, like maybe an Excel spreadsheet or a text file, and every app or application you place paste usernames into may or may not recognize all of the symbols of your characters. If it doesn't recognize it, it often just inserts like a box that would normally look like gobbledygook, but you may not notice it. So when you get this list, you would look at your invalid users and look for those kinds of things, as well as trailing spaces. Copying and pasting your names into the text box actually would eliminate any of the trailing space issues, whereas text files and CSV files would not. So be conscientious of spaces that may not be seen, as well as characters that may not be accurately copy and pasted. Oh,
right. So now we're going to create a report.
From here.
Click the create report. And you make sure that your cohort is selected. Again, you can select more than one cohort if it's the same program. Usually that happened on the same time because all these metrics are going to be set at the same time. So you want to go ahead and enter bytes added. For the metrics, it's 08 13. Hold on, I actually don't have that open.
I do. Time is in.
Go ahead, you can just add it. So yeah, so the event happened at 5, from 5 to, not from 5, it was from noon to 6, but it was located in New York. So using UTC time, it's 17 to 23 hours. And so the namespaces, we're actually putting all the namespaces. Again, this is going to be for the global metrics, so you can just go ahead and then add every single namespace except number 6. Because number 6, again, is files uploaded, and it could have files come in all different savation sizes, so it's going to give you all kinds of numbers. And then you want to make sure that only positive only sum and negative only sum are selected. And you'll get 2 numbers for that. And then in configure output, you're going to want to get aggregate results. We'll just get a total number of bytes added and removed for the event. And the sample result will tell you what it was going to look like in the CSV or CSV file. Oh, you already did it? No, you just, okay.
Yeah, that was just one.
That was just one. Okay. And then you can go ahead and download. You can choose either JSON or CSV. So if you click CSV, it'll go ahead and download it for you. And you have your lovely sum right up there, where you have positive only sum and your negative only sum. So, for example, let's say you want to report this, put this in a report. You can report both, and then you take the absolute value of the negative only sum, and you add the 2 together to get the total bytes added plus bytes removed. And we've also developed a list of learning patterns that will explain that in more detail, but that's the gist of it.
Yeah, so here we see that during the editathon hours, there was nearly 10 pages of text added and about 2.5 pages of text removed from the articles.
And by pages, she divided it by 1,500 bytes, because that's roughly the estimate for English for one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. 1,500 characters double-spaced is about, 1,500 characters is roughly the size of an 8.5 by 11 page double-spaced. So now edits. Go ahead and, so for edits, we're entering, again, the same dates. The same time and start time and end time for the event. Time series by, month, correct. And then, again, we're going to enter every single, in this case, we are going to enter every single namespace. Because an edit is one edit, whether it's 1,000 bytes or 1 byte.
And to show you a little quick trick, when you know you're going to be doing different cohorts, you can actually save yourself some time.
In this case, yeah.
This is actually...
No, it's actually different for newly registered. No, actually, no, that is correct. Yes, and then.
And we're going to give it 2 weeks in advance, which is actually going to be in
It's 2/22, I believe.
7/22.
Wait, the dates are backwards. It's month and then date. Or start date.
Oh, 2.
It's 02 and then 22. Yeah.
And oh no, we don't do that. Yeah, we do pages.
Yeah, we do pages created as well. And this is again during the time of the event.
You know, we have this here too. I'm gonna use it. Oh, we don't actually use that anymore. So okay. So edits, we have completed our configurations. Newly registered, we have completed our configuration to include 2 weeks time period leading up to the event and the event itself for people to register their accounts.
And for pages created, we're only using the article namespace for that one, so we just leave that as 0. And time series by is none.
Okay. So for edits, we also want to configure output so we get individual level results.
Right. That way we can see.
Same as for newly registered. Whereas for pages created, we just want the aggregate result. So when we look at our sample results, we'll see we're going to get a sum for edits. Actually, and all 3. Okay. Running all 3 reports at once. Successes. We'll start with edits. So looking for active editors. Actually, we can. That's weird. I don't know why it's opening a different window. That's not normal.
It usually does.
Really? No. Okay, so here we see. So for our edits, if we're wondering how many active editors we have, we want to know anyone who has over 5 edits.
Yes.
But during the event, this is just knowing how many edits they edited during the event versus the 30 days after. So I have a mislabel on my instructions here. So you can see that most people at the edit-a-thon did edit. There was only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people who did not actually edit during the edit-a-thon. And there were 74 total edits made. The intention of what we were pulling here was not actually supposed to be the edits during the event themselves, but actually following up, though. Did you want me to rerun this analysis, Edward, for active editors following the event? Anyway, looking at newly registered.
Sorry, there's an echo.
So here you get a glimpse at the Json output as well. This is the way it would look in JSON. Some people find it more useful because they can just scan the list versus the CSV output. However, if you have a spreadsheet program to open the CSV output, it may be more useful for you. And here we see that we have 9 new users that registered within 2 weeks or during this event. So this event got a lot of new users, actually. It's nearly half of them. Which may justify, of course, splitting your cohort into 2 so you can look at new versus existing users' behavior separately. And in terms of pages created, oh, I did that already. There were a total of 2 new pages created during the edit-a-thon.
2 new articles.
2 new articles. Because we looked in the articles namespace only. And again, we could go back to edits and look instead of during the event, we could look at since the event. Today in months. Wow, we can see that there were several obviously active editors, and we can code anybody over 5 as an active editor here for each of the months. So okay. Oh, we can't. That's right. We can't do that. 4+. Can't do that shortcut.
One more thing you can do also is see which were new and compare that with like who continued editing after the event. Yeah, so then you can just follow the line and see the ones that have the ones are the new users, and you can just follow and see which ones have actually continued editing after the event. In this case, I don't think I see any. Is that accurate, Jamie? Jamie, if you're speaking out, I think you may be muted. Jamie. Jamie, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think I'm just going to go ahead and... So I actually have a few more slides in the presentation. I think Jamie may have lost connection.
No, I'm muted because it muted me
I got confused.
automatically.
All right. Should I finish up the presentation?
Yeah, so that's the end of our demo. We are going to hang on for the next hour, well, actually, the next 18 minutes, completing this Google Hangout time. If you're working on your own data and trying to use Wikimetrics, we're here to answer questions or troubleshoot if you have any problems. We are also going to hang on our IRC channel for the hour following, so if you want to get out your cohorts and try out the analysis directly while it's all fresh, we do encourage you to do that and reach out if you have any challenges or problems or exciting things you find even. So.
All right, so a couple more slides here.
Yep, resources.
Can you see? Can you see the presentation? Thumbs up?
Or
can you see my screen? Okay.
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Just making sure. Okay, so a few more pages. So we actually just announced recently voluntary reporting to the, I think it was the program evaluation list. And we have an open call right now for program reports. I just realized that the link is not here, but I will add it later, or it can be posted into the Google Hangout event page. But we are asking for reports with any of these programs. And as part of this, we are happy to help with getting any user data from Wikimetrics. We're starting an IRC chat right now, right after this event. And of course, if you have any questions about this reporting, then you can contact us on the news page or email us, or we'll actually be posting up other events as well on the news page, or you can send us a message through email or through the talk page. And I guess a little bit more about the reports. So last year we did an analysis of all these programs, and we're just doing it again this year with the same 7 programs, but in addition we're also going to be analyzing conferences, hackathons, and Wikimedians in residence. So yeah, so if you have any programs, we'd love for you to share your data with us. And just to move on to some other resources related to Wikimetrics, we have a learning module that is a step-by-step user guide. If you have any other questions, or let's say you use it next week and you forget about this video, then maybe you have you'll have a step-by-step guide that can help you explain things in a little bit more detail if you have any other questions about it. There's also a Wikimetrics mailing list. The mailing list is mainly for announcements of new versions of Wikimetrics, new metrics, as well as it's a place to, if you're having problems with Wikimetrics, it's a good place to post things. Bugzilla is, that's the link to the Wikimetrics Bugzilla, and you can, if you find anything that is not working, you can post it there. And again, any other questions, feel free to email us at any time at eval@wikimedia.org. Another place you can find resources, or at least most of these links, is actually the evaluation portal. So it's grants evaluation #measure, and it will take you down to the measure section, and you can see Wikimetrics there, and it has a page for all of Wikimetrics, as well as other useful tools for measuring programs. And that is the end of the presentation. Any other questions?
We can still see your screen.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so as was stated, we will hang on IRC. We'll be standing by. Our channel on IRC, of course, did you post that, Edward?
The IRC
-PED?
Yes, it's posted in the presentation.
So we're standing by to help anyone with any need of their own analyses that they would like to try out with cohorts. So no commitments, just here committed to serving you guys and making sure you're able to use Wikimetrics. Maria, were there any other questions that came in on the page?
Yes. Yes. They're asking here if there is a discussion on global metrics today. I think, yeah, discussions on global metrics, the IRC office hours were scheduled last week and the previous week for that topic. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, or Edward, but I believe
that is correct. So I don't know of any more scheduled time for the global metrics. I do know there will be the blog post, which obviously will be open for comment at that point as well. There is the talk page of the global metrics page where you can seek help. There is our evaluation portal where you can ask questions and answers. We do have 12 minutes. It may be a question we can answer within our team. It may be beyond our team's ability to answer, but we're open to trying to answer a question as we do have this little bit of extra time. If you want to offer up a specific question about the global metrics, you may have noticed today that the Wikimetrics we did display were in line with those global metrics precisely, so that for those of you who are moving forward with how to measure those global metrics, Wikimetrics is a great tool at getting at most of those. There are some global metrics beyond Wikimetrics capabilities that require some other tools that are available, like Glamorous, or actually some of you doing education programs have a tool handy made by Sage Ross recently to be able to count or tell you which articles were touched, so you can know which articles were worked on versus newly created articles, which is what Wikimetrics can give you. Was there a specific question about global metrics that we may or may not be able to answer, but we could at least try? Of course, there's a delay for people watching who aren't in the room, so they may or may not post something.
You can also ask your grants programs officers directly if there are any specific questions about global metrics.
Yes, of course. Grantees have their grants officers. Committed. Okay, so importantly, Wikimetrics is a growing and expanding project. The metrics will continue to grow. The features will continue to expand. There are bugs. You will find bugs. When you find bugs, please be sure to at least message the Wikimetrics list, or if not the list because you're not comfortable with the Wikimetrics list, send us a message so that we know and we can add it either to the Bugzilla and get a bug filed, or let the developers know what's going on if it's something that's not quite a bug, but a features request. It is something that is supposed to be user-friendly. It is something that's supposed to make your life easier. It is supposed to make it easier to evaluate and get data about your program impacts. So if it's not doing that and it can do it better, let us know how. If it is doing great, let us know that too. We like to hear user stories, positive and negative, so that we can hopefully get this tool into shape for everybody's benefit. Anything further on the question page, Maria?
No, we don't have any more questions.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. We'll be moving to IRC. If there are any additional questions that come in or that you have afterwards, we will be manning the IRC for the next hour and 8 minutes. And of course, our email inboxes are always open. 24/7.
Thank you for joining
us today. Thank you, Edward, for the presentation. Thank you, everyone who's joined us. Do leave a little note on the event page so we know you were here, who was here. Always helps us to know who we're reaching. And we'll see you next time.
Oh, we have a new question.
Oh,
here just recently. If we want to use education extension, is there a conversion tool for the Google Metrics evaluation?
For Wikimetrics to pull in, they're working on a campaigns extension that will auto-generate cohorts to Wikimetrics. That's not going to be the same as the education extension, but very similar. So I'm not sure what their plan for migration of the education extension will be. And there is nothing currently in the backstage planning for Wikimetrics to know what that would look like. But there should be a feature coming on in the next months that does allow us to set up a cohort as a campaign, have a page just like in the education extension does with courses. You would have a page that would have your event and your cohort and your usernames, and you would be able to tell Wikimetrics to pull the usernames off of that extension to auto-generate your cohort. There will also be a feature that allows you to only input usernames of one project and tell it the Wikimetrics to auto-populate all of the valid usernames with the valid projects that they have signed on to. But again, those are coming features that aren't yet implemented.
And another question from Liang. When do you plan to use translation module on the Wikimetrics API for other languages? Edward, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Jamie, I muted you because of the echo. Sorry.
That's okay.
But I'm actually not sure. I guess I'll just.
Oh, I asked for a repeat of the question. Sorry.
When do you plan to use translation module on the Wikimetrics API for other languages?
You mean so that the user interface is in other languages?
I believe that is what it is. Yeah.
There is not a plan for that. So I can't answer when. The plan does not exist.
But you can post it to the Wikimetrics mailing list.
Yes, that would be a features request, I believe. Okay, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. We'll be moving to IRC. Please join us there if you do have remaining questions or questions that come up in the next hour and 4 minutes. Signing off. Maria, are you ready to close the chat?
Yes. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. See you next time.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.